In 1995, a number of our area leaders had the great privilege of establishing the Bowling Green Warren County Community Foundation. The inspiration that led those of us as founders was the need we saw for a platform in which people of the community could leave legacies. As we saw it, their creation of permanent endowment funds would continue to give forever. Today, some 17 years later, this entity has grown to become the Community Foundation of South Central Kentucky, though its mission remains the same: to encourage philanthropic giving for positive impact upon our communities for now and generations to come. In order to build, promote, and better encourage this mission, the Foundation has created an annual award to be presented to one distinguished member of our community whose life matches these same goals of service, impact, and overall commitment to our area. This represents the essence of the South Central Kentuckian of the Year. The Foundation's Board of Directors has chosen the late Charles M. Moore to receive the 2012 inaugural award. Charlie Moore established his business and began his philanthropic giving early in his career.
Charlie and I both grew up in Bowling Green, and we went to different schools. He went to College High School, I went to Bowling Green High School. And I really got to know Charlie when I started going to the Episcopal Church in 1960. And then in 62 or 63, we formed an investment club called Investors Limited, and boy, in those days we were limited. But Charlie was also one of the 12 original members of that club. He was the treasurer, and I got to know him extremely well in that setting.
I actually had known the Moore name for a long, long time, being from Bowling Green. Charles M. Moore is just a name that anybody knew because it's such a staple of the downtown business community through the agency that Mr. Moore and his father ran, that I had known the name for a long, long time. Then I got to meet the man. In 1986, my younger brother Donnie married Mr. Moore's daughter Holly, and that brought our two families together in what became a very wonderful relationship. He found a way to get others involved. He grew the philanthropic community of Bowling Green and Warren County, and he understood why that was important. He understood that there were people who were in need, and he not only gave us his time and his resources, but he brought others along with him. And I think that is the mission of the Community Foundation, to grow philanthropic giving, and Charlie did that.
Charlie was one of the great givers that I've ever known. I teach people here that we have three ways that we generally can spend, three things that we can spend in life. One is our time, one is our money, and one is our attention. And most people will end up being pretty good maybe at one of those. But Charlie was one of those rare human beings that was really good at all three. He gave of his time, gave of his money, and he gave tremendous amounts of attention. When you were with Charlie, Charlie was just fully present with you. He gave you all of his attention. You always left feeling just a little bit better about who you were and about how things were going when you were talking with Charlie.
The most wonderful thing about Charlie is he's an equal opportunity encourager. If we had a new staff member at the chamber, then he would go up and put his arm around that individual and stop someone who was walking past and say, "Let me tell you about this wonderful person." And then if it was someone who was from New York who'd come to Western Kentucky University and had their career opportunity here at the chamber, then he'd do the same thing. He'd put his arm around him and stop the next person who came by and said, "Let me tell you about this wonderful person." So Charlie's wonderful in everything that he shared with his encouragement to those that he got to know quickly.
He built other people and encouraged with encouragement and made them successful, and in return they went out and tried to do the same thing that Mr. Charlie was doing, and that was what was so valuable about him, and that is what young people need to realize, that you don't have to be wealthy to be able to do this. The wealth is right here in the heart, and no one had it like Mr. Charlie did.
I asked Mr. Moore in 2000 if he would be willing to serve as one of our board members. He quickly signed on to help us raise money privately to help support the free clinic initially, Charlie helped us raise money to build a 12-room facility known as the Hospitality House on the campus of the Medical Center. The Hospitality House now serves as a home for visitors who need to stay close to their loved ones who are in the medical center. And we were fortunate that Charlie saw that project come to fruition before his passing when it opened early last year. I think Mr. Moore exemplifies the definition of a philanthropist, because if you look at Webster's definition of that, it's benevolence towards mankind, and Charlie was certainly that. Charlie worked his entire adult life to make our community a better place, and in doing that, he improved the well-being of mankind. He not only gave of himself, his financial resources, but he gave of his time, and he encouraged others to do that as well.
Mr. Charlie did mimic the efforts of the Community Foundation because, as we all know, the Community Foundation is something of size and magnitude. Mr. Charlie was a lot like that organization as an individual, because he worked at it constantly, and you know, people can do single or multiple good things, but he lived it every day, all day long, and he created such volumes of reward and good work for making things happen within our community.
I really could not imagine our community if there had not been a Charlie Moore. He reached out, he touched in such a subtle way to really bring people together, to make important things important without being loud, without being pushy. And it's a leadership that is unique to find, and we're just so fortunate that we experienced that with Charlie.
Charlie was involved in so many different things in this community, and he was the type person that everything he was involved in, he did a wonderful job. He really made an impact and had some effect on it. He was a very generous person himself, and in working with him in the finance area at church, he was good at influencing people to do their best to give as much as they could for the support of the church and the various activities of the church, and he also did that in other organizations as well. I think of Charlie Moore as a very caring and generous individual, and a perfect example of what we all should strive to be.